All right, well, a year after his death by suicide, the story of disgraced financier Jeffrey Epstein and girlfriend Ghislaine Maxwell gets stranger. She was finally arrested last week and charged with procuring young girls for Epstein and some of his well-to-do friends. One of the women claims she was forced to have sex with famed defense attorney Alan Dershowitz, something he has denied. And in 2 op-eds this week, Dershowitz argues the media is not doing its job. In case you haven't seen it, one of the hottest Netflix releases this summer is the Jeffrey Epstein story, Filthy Rich.
Is it true that you forced Virginia Roberts to have sex with numerous friends of yours?
Are you kidding?
But that's exactly what Virginia Roberts Giuffre says happened, and that Harvard Law's Alan Dershowitz was among them.
I was with Alan Dershowitz multiple times. At least 6 that I can remember.
Dershowitz has forcefully denied that, and denied it again in the Netflix series. But in his 2 recent op-eds, Dershowitz now says no one should believe anything they saw in that series, and that the media is accepting Virginia Giuffre's story hook, line, and sinker without any independent corroboration. However, Giuffre is also the one who credibly claims she was forced to have sex with Prince Andrew, and that Ghislaine Maxwell orchestrated it.
Right after that photo was taken, I was sexually abused by Prince Andrew for the first time.
Compounding the issue for Dershowitz, newspapers like the New York Post have made a parlor game of guessing who might be outed by Maxwell, as video recordings might exist, something that doesn't worry Dershowitz.
I never had sex with an underage person in my life, even when I was an underage boy.
Is one of us telling the truth? Yes. Is that person me? Yes.
But, writes Dershowitz, media scrutiny in this case has been conspicuously absent. First, I have to say it's a little bit odd, I think, for the newspapers to be giving a platform to somebody without kind of putting in some context about who's essentially defending himself. And this notion that it's somehow the media isn't doing its job, well, you know, there has been, as we all know, a push to listen more to victims of crime and give the benefit of the doubt to them. I mean, I'm fine with him defending himself, and, you know, I have no reason not to believe Alan Dershowitz. He certainly sounds credible, but making this, blaming on the media, Joanna, seems a little of a stretch to me.
Yeah, there's something a little bit, you know, strange and overwrought about the pieces that he's written, a little bit unhinged, a lot of, you know, there's too much information embedded in there. And look, we all know in other contexts that unhinged people make for really compelling and excellent content. So you can understand why someone would want to run that. You know, I do take his point and want to reiterate that everyone's innocent until proven guilty. There's a challenge with having to, you know, with these kinds of cases, you know, any case, but certainly something this incendiary, playing out in the media long, you know, well before or, you know, beyond the ability to play it out in the court of law. So that's part of the problem that we're having here. Jeffrey Epstein can't be called to account. And so now, you know, the justice is being sought in different corners, and it's really hard to adjudicate something like that in the media.
Yeah.
Well, I almost felt that when I was reading this, that there should have been some kind of disclaimer put in there before the piece began. It really, or it should have been, the title of it should have been, you know, in defense of Alan Dershowitz, because it seems as if it was masking, you know, taking on this case of, you know, this information, it can't be believed, and the media isn't doing its job, but really it was all about him. And, you know, if you are going to go ahead and allow him to have this platform, then I think it needs to be wrapped in some kind of disclaimer or something that makes the audience understand that this is more than what it appears to be.
Mm-hmm. I think it's important for him to detail exactly when was he there getting the massage, which he has admitted to with his shorts on, which was a part of the Ghislaine Maxwell and Jeffrey Epstein modus operandi. If you've read the court documents against Maxwell, and I have, they're kind of disgusting because that was the way they began enticing some of those girls. Now, whether the ones that Dershowitz points to who have accused him are telling the truth, that, of course, has to be investigated, and I cannot imagine that journalists are not doing so. Yeah. So it leaves him then with sort of an open runway at this point, because that work, we all assume, is going on, and more will come. So to everyone else's point, I think the papers that allow him to have his moment, and as he can have his moment, is that they need to highlight, hey, these things have not been for sure, definitely said happened or not happened. And he's writing in that context. Mm-hmm.
Well, first of all, it does speak to the point raised by the anti-Harper's protagonists in the previous segment that powerful people often get access to forums that others don't, now doesn't it? Yep. Secondly, I've seen Dershowitz's spin on this several times, and I got to say, every time he makes a point of saying that he kept his pants on, a wave of relief washes over me like a soothing balm, and I feel much better. But I guess my final point on this would be that Dershowitz does have a point, that when you've got a he said, she said, and that's what this is, right? If there's corroborating evidence of her specific claims about him, I haven't heard or seen it yet, then it's kind of tough to see those claims magnified, and no wonder, you're eager to fight for rebuttal whenever you can.
Yeah, I agree with that.